All right, sorry about that. A little technical difficulty in a couple different directions. But here is Doc. What do we got there? Oh, looking at a physics thing there. Let's get rid of that. And let's go up to that. There we go. There's the stock market. Kind of a little weak again, nothing major. As you can see over on J4X. Oh, that's cable. We got a J4X. Let's get up the dollar index and see what the dollar is up to. Right, where are you? There we are. There's the dollar index. And let's see the chat line. Make sure no one's saying, Doc, what about this, that, or the other thing? There you go. There's Metho. Boy, Metho, you appeared at the end yesterday. That was cool. What's happening? Anything particular? And so you can see there. And let's go over to here to the dollar index. There we are. Put it up on Chicago Quant at the same time. So you see how they're working together. Working together. Sounds like a song. And then you can see it's up. At the same time, it was trying to get into the sell. Right there, we got that going on at the moment. Yeah, that's today. So, and you can see it over here on J4X, the same situation. It's showing that pressure on the downside. Now, what is that? That is the day. Okay, we've been in a buy. This one's been really odd. It's been bouncing around in the buy for a couple of days. Hasn't gone up. Just it's in the buy. And the weekly's in the buy. And so between the two of those, they just keep on pushing. Let's see what the weekly looks like. I'm sure it's going to be the same on J4X here. You're going to see strength on a weekly trend. There we go. See all those green hinky ashkies. Just making the curve now, just like we're making the curve here. And we'll see how that plays itself out. What time is Powell? They're going to beat him up for 2 days in a row. That's what it really comes down to. So they're going to beat him up, and then they don't do a what do you call it? They don't do a he doesn't do a real press conference. Really, this is just the Republicans and this or this is the Senate, not the Republicans. This is the Senate and the House. This is I guess it's the old Humphrey Hawkins. That's what it is. So what's happening is that he's going to have to answer to some tough questions, and he's not going to like that, and he won't do it, and so that's what it really comes down to. But they're going to get a chance at least, push on him. The whole idea of him saying transitory and stalling out for over a year when he should have been, raising rates, and instead he was giving Mr. Biden tons of cash to play with over and over again after the economy had been growing at 6.2%. The last quarter of Mr. Trump's presidency, the economy was growing at 6.2% going into the first quarter when Mr. Biden took over, and inflation was 1.2%. And so they're going to push on him and say, why didn't you raise rates then? Why did you have to just keep on plowing money and letting the federal government just spend more and more and more when the economy had recovered? And that's what they want to do. They want to wake up the fact and push on him to get him to be coherent to that fact, because he's never answered that reason. What gave him the inclination to basically overheat the economy? He allowed the federal government to overheat the economy, and that's what's going to be mainly the theme. Overheating the economy, and what insurances do we have that you're not going to do the same stupid thing again? Because you walked around for over a year. We talked about it here in July, a year before, I guess it was March. Was it March of the following year? They finally started to raise a rate, and they stopped saying that crazy stuff about transitory and it's just here for a few months and don't worry about it. And they spent tons, trillions upon trillions on nothing, basically. There's billions and billions, and I think there's like $1.5 trillion still not spent, just sitting there in the bank account. And it's like, well, you know what? Give it back. Give it back to the government and stop spending all this money and stop this inflation. as I take a sip of my tea, and that's pretty much what's going to go on for 2 days now. We're gonna have Powell, basically, as they would say, in the hot seat, and they're going to basically say to him, why did you do this? And he won't have an answer. There's no answer for it. You can't say, well, I wanted them to just spend money until there was no tomorrow, because 6.2% wasn't big enough. But right now we're at 1%. So why isn't he cutting rates at this point? Since we're at 1% of growth, and we were at 6.2%, we had 1.2% inflation. Now we have 6.5% or 7% or 5.5% inflation. Who knows, depending on what you listen to. So that's what it's going to come down to, Robin. They're just going to beat up on him for the next 2 days. The Democrats will probably try to shield him, because they were, Mrs. Yellen said the same stupid stuff over and over. She's destroyed any reputation that she thought she had, and a lot of regular Americans who thought she had a reputation. As far as I'm concerned, she's never been functional. I've always found her to be definitely off course. But anyway, that's besides the point. It's Powell, and that's who they're going to beat up on at this point. Alrighty, from there we jump over to the euro. Let's see what it is. This is going to be a little run and gun. I need to dive out for about quarter after. I need to get out of here, so I'm going to just do 45 minutes and zip-diddy-doo-dah. Let's take a look at the euro. Where is the euro? Let's find the euro. Let's go put it up on J4X to start off with. Right there and there. Now let's go to J4X and let's get the euro up on the screen. Right there, I see it. I did see it. It's here somewhere. There it is, right there underneath the other. There it goes. And this is the weekly, and you can see here it's been pressing down, just like, let's put it up over here too at the same time so it confirms it. You can see it here doing the same thing. We've been pressing down on this side over here. And so you see the euro playing down. You can see the daily's been pushing up. We've been in a buy for about 6-7 days now. I guess it is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. And it'll be the same way over here on J4X. Right there. In and out over the last 6 days. And you can see it's been ziggity-zaggity over here at times. We had the green and the red. That's why this didn't go into a sell. And we had a green and a red there, and that's why that didn't go into a sell. It was just constantly pressing on the upside here. And you can see the fast is trying to get through the zero line and get some pressure on the upside right down in here. So that's that action. From there, we zip-doo-dah over to the cable. This is going to be a run and gun. But we're welcoming all questions, any questions, real questions, fake questions, funny questions, smart questions, stupid questions. We'll take any question, anything. I don't care. Why is the euro up and the sky overcast? Sounds like a good question to me. All right. From there, we got the cable. Cable's very fascinating. This kind of bounce thing that's going on. It's got like Tigger going on, and you can tell it's really a plateau of some form or a triangle. It's almost like a flag. Something's going on there. And then we put it up over here, and there's the cable. And you can see that same thing going on. Not as much because of the hinky ashkies, but when we tighten it up a little bit more, right there, you see we got that same gig. It's a plateau up there. It does not seem to be, I don't know, it's not, as much as you think it wants to go down, it's not going down. It seems to be locked on this bottom in here. And it's so hard to say. We saw that article yesterday we put up on the the story of all the central banks are underwater. They're all losing money. In other words, their operating expenses are exploding. That means that they're just printing too much and, forcing money down our throats. And I'm sure everybody out there, raise your hand if you want money from the Fed or the central bank in your local neighborhood. I'm sure we'll take $500,000 or $500 million overnight action so we can have our spreads on and make a 0.25 percentage point for free. Another sip of the tea. And so there's the cable. Just kind of doing that same magical stuff. from there, we slide over to the Swiss right there. You can see the Swiss is trying to lift up here today, but we're in a daily sell for 3 days here. Let's put that in there. Right there. And you can see the weekly is doing the same thing. It's just been holding up in the opposite direction, really. Matter of fact, they're above the manifold even. So kind of interesting. We thought they would sit it out around the 93.5 to 94 area, play with this high here, and they did. They did that for like 5 days, and then they started to chill, and now they're bouncing around the 93s. I really have a hard time believing, and let me just stop right there when I say I have a hard time believing. Saw a horrible story of Credit Suisse yesterday. Just brutal. I mean, the stock is down from 60 to like $2 now. So it's the Deutsche Bank of Switzerland, basically. That's what it's come down to now. The only difference is that the Deutsche Bank has been propped up enormously by the Federal Republic, and but they can't get anybody to buy it or merge with it or be a slice of it. It's just like Credit Suisse is, and that's probably put the pressure on the Swiss franc. That's what I'm thinking. The Saltine has been feeling the pain because money has been moving out, and I'm sure that Credit Suisse had some nice size positions for the size of the country, just the way Deutsche Bank had some really nice size positions. Had over Deutsche Bank had, and I'm not even sure what the swaps look like with Credit Suisse. No one even wants to talk about it. But Deutsche Bank and Citi were the two biggest players in the swap market. And they had both had a little more than, get this number, 73 trillion. Yeah. Can you imagine that? They let these banks go in that odd direction. After the 70s, the swap market should have changed dramatically. They should have never allowed them. Just shows you how much the regulators, the authorities are just off course. I mean, just off course to allow, $72 trillion worth of swaps, not billion, not million, trillion. That's why no one was willing to buy Deutsche Bank all the way to this day. And they couldn't merge it with Commerce, the second biggest bank in Germany, because Commerce was like, "Are you crazy? I don't want that liability." And I'm just guessing. This is a guess from me. I have not read it, but I would speculate that Credit Suisse is probably another one of those that was just deep up to their neck in swaps, and that's why no one will get near it. So, and the stock is going from 60 some odd down to $2. So that's perfect evidence of the irresponsibility, basically, of the government's regulators, or the European regulators. I don't care who it is, or the Securities Exchange Commission's regulating factors. I mean, they just don't. It's like after the fact. They're like a beagle. They're always like about 30 seconds behind. So, all right. From there, we go over to the yen. You see the yen doing that same gig right there. You see the yen trying to break down still in here. It's going to sell 3 days ago. We're getting a green and a red going on there, but I mean, overall, it's been in that sell for a few days. Where is it? Right from there. And it did that sell, buy, sell, and we're in the buy at the same time. So that's a loser. That's no winner, chicken dinner, that's for sure. And it's just a bone to chew on. And at the same time, you can't get short because we're in a weekly buy. So it's kind of like really stalled out up in here. And it's died where we were expecting it. We thought the 36s maybe up to 37, something like that. We figured they'd play with this, at least right in there. That's what I was thinking. Let me just contract that again. Thought they would play into this area here. So we'll see if they do try to push it against these highs. But overall, to me, it looks like they're that now the Bank of Japan's really got some issues going on. They're trying to I guess, how do you put it? They're trying to get the economy moving over there. At the same time, they are one of the last of the major currencies that have zero interest rates in the short term. I mean, their 1.5 or their 10-year bond and so forth is not minus, but their under 2 year is all minus. So that makes it a little complicated. Now, we're feeling the effect. That's what that article was about yesterday that we talked about, and that was that the central banks across the planet and the Federal Reserve, their operating expenses are enormous right now. They can't cover them, so they have to print money to do that. So, and that's because they have to pay interest. They have to pay interest. All that craziness with the idea that they were going to be, somehow or another they thought they could go on forever at zero interest rates. I don't know. That someone needs to be hit over the head with a stick. Really with a bag of rocks. Where did they get the bozo idea? I mean, it's just horrible. In other words, they could have easily just brought the interest rates down to zero like they did. Do it for about a year. Start raising it up, and if there's no government policy to help growth, in other words, get out of the way of private business. Basically, that's what it comes down to. That's what government policy we're always looking for, to get out of the way, because government always finds a way to put their finger in the pie, poke somebody in the eye, spill the drink on the lap. I mean, government is just very unproductive. So instead, when they do it for 10 years, they run it around, and then Trump gets elected, and first, all out of nowhere, they finally learn how to raise interest rates once Trump gets into the office, because they knew he was going to kick up the economy. So he'd get out of the way, and he did. From there, we go over to the Turkish lira. Let's put that up on the screen. Right there. And the Turkish lira has been trying to lift up. You can see the little bounce here. I imagine the money coming in from the two different earthquakes have basically kind of dried up. I'm assuming that's what this is all about at this point. And it's just a lot of foreign aid coming into it, so I'm assuming. Now you can see they did have as they used to say in the Navy, they called it a crazy Ivan right there. It just goes wild and then comes right back to normal. And something about the submarines making a left or a right every half hour just to try to make sure no one's following them. And so this has that crazy Ivan look to it a lot. It's become very illiquid, unfortunately. Turkish lira, we went for a bunch of years, we watched it go from 1 to 20, but it did it relatively orderly. It didn't show this illiquidity. They may have run out of any money that, what is it, what Mrs. Thatcher used to say? Sooner or later, you run out of other people's money to spend. And I think that's probably what's happened at this point. When they don't have it, it's just a wild swing. Up to 21, boom, back down to 20 out of nowhere, And you can see that also on the J4X. If we just blow this up a little bit like that. Let's see. And we knock out the hinkies like that. Let's do this. And then knock out the hinkies. There we go. And you can see there, right there, some wild moves. Now, this is not as wild as what I'm seeing here in the States, but then I guess that's that location thing. But the range, you can see, has not that tightness anymore. We have big days, and a lot of times they come right back down to where they're at. In this case here, it's just a thin market at this point, and obviously the central bank is not propping it up anymore. And I think that's what that's come down to, because we see that also when we go and look at the dollar Turkish lira, it's even worse. I mean, it's just like, let's not tell, let's show. Let's not tell, let's show. Like that type of stuff. It's just a city of illiquidity, wild numbers. And when we go back, like 2 and 3 and 4 years, you just didn't have that. See, it was much more orderly. It was rare. Once in a while you'd get it. There's back to March of 2022. But I mean, it is just disorderly now. It's just that happens. And it started to happen over the last year. It's just been pressuring this thing. So there's obviously no buyer or seller of last resort. That's what it comes down to, and that's why these wild, highs and lows occur. No buyer of last resort. A classic concept. All right, from there we slide over to the two currencies that follow after the energy and the metals complex. We'll put oil up on J4X. Let's do Brent. There's Brent. You can see Brent has been marching up. Now we'll turn on the Hinky. There you go. It's been marching up. You can see the line is trying to curve here on the fast and slow stochastic. At the same time, you can see the Canadian, as this has been rising, the Canadian has been going sideways to, is that Canadian? That's Canadian. That's sideways to down, basically. Basically sideways more than down. I mean, we've had some, breaks down to here, but it's not even taking out these lows. We're back into the daily buy now for a second day, and we've been in a weekly buy for 4 full weeks now. So the pressure is on for it to go up, which means normally, if the Canadian is going up, usually oil is going down, and we're not really seeing it in that way. Now let's just look at North America's oil right here. No, not right there. Let's go to this one instead. There's North American oil, West Texas Intermediate, right there. And it's been going up, and you would assume, normally, we would see Canadian go down. But it's just, at most, it's just going sideways. And it's been actually trying to push up, which is odd. It should be trying to push down. So it's moved out of its comfort zone again, where it's following its own rules. Then we slide over to the South African Rand. And let's see how it acts with gold. With this just being up, we have to assume gold is down today. Right there. And it is, it's down today. It's trying to press down. If we turn off the Hinky, yeah, you can see the last 2 days it's been down. You see the line is curving. And over here, you can see the same situation going on. The South African Rand goes up when gold goes down. And when gold goes up, South African Rand goes down against the dollar. So that's how those play their little tricks. All right. From there, we've got the last of the currencies that we look at. That's the Mexican peso. So let's put that up on the screen. Right there. And you can see peso's been moving down, kind of reading the economy here in the States. Things are trying to turn. We are trying to turn, let's put it that way. And the policies seem to be getting in line for it, so they're anticipating it. And that's usually what the Mexican peso does. It anticipates what the action is going to be in the States here. And there it is there. You can see it's making 4 or 5 year lows at this point. Let's just give this a spinny thing. So it'll reset on the screen. There we are. And so we're blowing through all kinds of numbers on the downside. And at the same time, you can see we've been in that weekly sell since up in here at the old low that was pretty well established for about a couple of years. It's been riding that area for a while. You can see it, how it's bouncing off of it at times. The blue is above it, and then it'll go down again right there, playing with it again. But now, without a doubt, they are making new lows of like a 5-year period, 6-year period, I think it is. Just like the Trump years of 2019, where the economy here was roaring in the 5s and the 6s, and inflation was almost non-existent. And so now we have the gang that can't shoot straight. That's good. So from there, we slide over to, where do we go from there? We go to the rest of the metals complex. So we'll go take a look at, we have gold up on here, is it? No, that's crude. So we'll do energies then. So there's crude. It's marching up. That is the front month at 80.02 as we speak. Let's see what the back month looks like. 80.06, so they're almost at parity again. So that could be a topping out sign again. You see we're in a weekly buy from last week and it's still pressing up. Nothing big because that's the Friday right there. So, but it's still pushing up. And then over on J4X, we had Brent up there. Let's put Brent back up there again. Brent right there. You see that pressure on it. And then over here, then we go into the natural gas territory. Let's see what nat gas is doing. It did pop up, got up to the threes. We got into a buy. It was pretty entertaining. And in the last 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, they've smacked it. And it's still in the buy, though. And the weekly is very firm still. Both of them. So don't be surprised to find it back up into the threes again. Now we'll show you the same thing over here on J4X. And there's light. It's here somewhere. There's gas. And that's volatility. There's gas. That's that European company I love to watch. Just want to put natural gas up on the screen. Where did it go? Gas. And you see their last couple of days pressing down. Same thing with the fast and slow stochastic. Over here, we have this thing pressing down. In our case, the algorithm is pressing down, and now it's doing a pop on the upside again. And it's still staying in that buy. And then let's take a look at that European energy company. See if we can get a flavor of what's going on in Europa. Right there. In the 26s still. Kind of hanging out in that 26 area. It doesn't seem to want to let go of it. It seems like it's the place to be. And from there, what else can we say about that? Let's take a look at it on a weekly basis. There's the natural gas company trying to press down. We need a little bit more red. And here in the States, we are lifting. But thank goodness I don't see this in the 27s or 28s with us lifting. That's a good thing. All right. From there, we slide over to the metals complex. So let's find gold again. Gold. There it is. There's gold. 1840. Cool. Over here, let's put it up on there. And there's the gold. It's feeling a little pain here today. It's heading down. And you can see we're playing with the line. In this case here, it's starting. This is the weekly now. Let's fix that. Because our weekly is, as you can see, our weekly is in a sell. And this is in a sell for the weekly. And it's trying to perk up a little bit, just like our curve here on the weekly signal. And then we go back to the daily again. And there it is, right there. And then as we speak, you can see that action here. We're making the challenge. It's also doing the red here as we speak. Now let's check out silver. And there's silver. Silver's feeling pressure also. I think it survived the buy. It wasn't a buy. Let's see. There's silver. No, it closed in a sell yesterday. So it's still drifting down. Still in that weekly sell here. You see the pressure there on the daily. Let's see what the weekly looks like. There's the weekly. Pressing down. Same gig. And then, where do we go from here? We go to the, let's go look at copper. Where's copper? I saw it up top here. There it is. And copper, let's put it up over here. And there is, where's the copper? There it is right there. Copper's been pressing down a little bit. Went into a sell yesterday. Still feeling some pain today. You can see still in the weekly sell from here. Pressure is on a small way. It seems like it's hanging around the fours. High threes, like 385, 395, and the fours bouncing around in that area. And you can see the weekly is trying to turn up right here. But we've been in a red now for this is the 6th week. So, matching up with our fast moving algorithm where it's been in a sell for 6 weeks. All right. From there, we slide over to platinum. Let's see what the platinum's up to. Oh, that's right. We don't do platinum on there. Let's just check out platinum. Last I looked, it was looking firm. And there is platinum right there. Oh, look at that today. They're putting pressure on that. It's been in a buy for 4 days. And today they're trying to punch it through the zero line. And look how close the weekly has gotten. It's right on the edge on the fast moving. The slow is trying to touch the manifold there. So that's kind of like a bullish attempt. Let's put it that way. It's a bullish attempt. And I guess because of all that strength we've seen here. Let's just see a palladium. Some people have asked for the palladium, and we have it still. So let's take a look at it. That's June palladium. And let's remove that. And it's been in the buy, hanging out around the high mid 14s, I guess you could say. And it's still in that weekly sell since the 18th, or here is the 17s, right? Probably like right around here, 17, where it drifted all the way down to 13, 1366. So they've really put some pressure on that too at the same time. Markets are at that point where they don't know if they're coming or they're going. It's like listening to a Jimmy Durante song. Should I go or should I stay? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. Go, stay. All right. And that does it for the metals. Let's take a look at the stock indices. There's the Dow. I'm sorry, not the Dow, the S&Ps. S&Ps are still trying to hold up. Weekly is feeling the pain. They're going to have to do one or the other. They're going to have to jack it very soon, or we're going to definitely get, not only the fast has been in that weekly sell side of it since back here. Now the slow is joining in. And that could put major pressure into the marketplace on the downside. And I don't know, it doesn't have that feel like they want to do that. As much as everybody and their sister is trying to tell you that the world is coming to an end and, watch out below type of attitude. But not seem to be happening. It just doesn't seem to be happening. There's the... This is just a little throwback to the currencies we were talking about. This is the 1 minute and the 15 minute for Timothy, if Timothy shows up. Just thought I'd just show that in there. So Timothy will know that sooner or later there is there's a chart there for him, or her, or whoever. And then we go back to the stock indices. And let's check out the Tech 100. Let's put it up over here. The Tech 100. Oh, you know what? Let's look at S&Ps on a weekly basis. Right there. And Sesame's. There's Timothy. Howdy, howdy. I got to get out of Dodge early in about another 5-6 minutes. I'm going to cut out. So I figured I'd throw that up for you just to have that up for you. Just to have that up right there. So let's go back to it again, Timothy. Right there. There it is for you again. Now the minute's in a sell. And the 15 minute is went into the buy actually right there. Still flirting with it as much as it's down at the moment. We'll see what they do. It's trying to perk up. So we got 7. We'll cut out right on the 15 minute. So in 6.5 minutes. Now, let's go over to the Tech 100. Where is the Tech 100? Right there. And the Tech 100, you can see, is trying to lift up on a weekly. And Oh, let's do this. Let's put it up on this screen real quick, like a bunny. Right there. Not that. Not there, not there, not there, not there. It is. There we go. And you can see it's been in a daily buy since here. Not there. I guess it's right there. Yeah. So it's been in the daily buy. It's holding up pretty well. You know, they've been talking about that. How, oh, wrong place to put it. Let's cancel that. Remove. Lift up. And let's put it where it belongs. And that is right there. And it's like sideways. It's like the techs. Look, sometimes they speculate. You know, in other words, the investors in the tech side, they speculate when the bottom is going to be, and they know that it's hard to get in. So what they do is they just dollar cost average in now and just let it be. And watching buys caught a nice sell earlier though. Oh, good. Yeah, because let's go back to that again. Because it did the. There was a nice sell right there. What was that, the European Open? Basically 315 this morning. Yeah. So at the European Open, they popped it, I guess. There's like the Swiss Open, the London Open, and they thought, no, I don't think so, and they started selling it down. That's interesting. And it went all the way down to here. So it was a slide from there, which is not a big slide, down to here, just from there to there. And then I guess the 1 minute in the same time frame. Let's see the 1 minute in the same time frame. There it is. It's that same hump. It slides into a sell, goes into a buy, back into a sell again, buy, sell, buy, sell. That was a good ride, wasn't it? That was the good ride right there. Okay. So from there, what else were we looking at? We were looking at the stock indices in the States here. So what I'm really figuring is that at this point, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, you know, is the one that's feeling the most pain out of the sell-off, because the S&P 500 is holding up well, and so is the Tech 100. They're both holding up well, but then the Dow itself is feeling the pressure on the downside. That has gone and went to like October lows or something like that, and came back up. I don't think, was it October lows? Let's take a look. I get the holes. Well, we can do it over here too. Let's do it. First do it over here on J4X. Right there. So there's the October lows. No, they didn't even go after the October lows. They're just playing around with these lows. That's what it is. And if we put it into a daily, you can see the pressure much more. And that's back in December. You know, they're going after those December lows. Whereas when you look at the other two stock indices, the S&P 500, they're challenging January lows. There's the December lows. They're not even interested in that. And then when you look at the Tech 100, that's the same thing. You know, they're not even going after January lows on the Tech 100. They're just, you know, just did a little correction and it's trying to turn up. So they're really trying to get ahead of the curve. They know that interest rates are going to stop being raised somewhere over the next 3 to 6 months. And a lot of times markets like to, equity markets in particular, like to kind of, they like the classic, buy the rumor, sell the news. You know, that's the old saying, and that's what they do. Is the rumor is that it will stop in 3 to 6 months, and so let's start buying it. And then what happens is that's why Janusz had done that webinar showing that, you know, the fundamentals don't exactly follow the rules anymore. And so that's what that was all about to begin with, is that the rules weren't being followed, and you know, it was harder to basically trade. Look at this; it's coming back up a little bit here with about a minute to go. 1 minute and 23 seconds, as you see there on the clock, or underneath the bar there. 1 minute and 18 seconds. Oh, you can't see that. Let's put that up there. There we are. See that right there, just marching away. 1 minute and 9 seconds. And it's just slowly leaking its way on the upside, not the downside. The same thing here on your 1 minute, trying to push up. There you go. Matter of fact, the 1 minute now is above. And it's got 1 minute to go on the 15 minute. And it looks like it's pushing up. You know, it's got that upwardly projection. So, all right. So, out of all this, we know that the markets are going to watch Mr. Powell get beat up today, which is always entertaining. And he deserves it, you know, because they've really messed it up big time. You know, to allow inflation to run up to 9% and still pretend that it's not there was a real career-breaking situation. He will have a hard time. I mean, he's on a government pension at this point, so it doesn't matter. But, you know, they're not going to... Anybody that brings him into a responsible spot needs their head examined. Because he let the world economy go into a... Doesn't matter if the politicians were telling him to do it. You know, he should have known better not to do it. So that's what the problem is right there. And then there you go. Oh, look at that. So it's still in the buy, but now look how much it's pressing down. It's almost underneath the zero line. So from there, that is about it. Doc has to get out of here, so we have to cut it off at 13 or 14 minutes after the fact. So this is Doc from North America, only giving you a 45. So happy. We will be a full hour tomorrow. We'll give you an hour and 15 or something like that. So happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. Later, traders.